Well, it's a hot afternoon, evening, I should say, in Central Texas. I noticed I have a couple more followers since last time, a couple more subscribers, I should say. Thank you for seeing fit to subscribe to this content. It's not great. I'm working on it. I really am. I have some things in the works. I just need, I hate to say the word time, but time would help, wouldn't it? It would help us all. So I have a question that came up as of probably a week ago. And I want to pose this question to the Bank of America branch in Waco at 1100 North Valley Mills Drive. I have a question because my mother doesn't drive anymore. She just gave up driving because she's up in her years, and the streets are not getting any safer. To the point, I drove my mother to that Bank of America branch at 1100 North Valley Mills Drive. Drove my mother there, as I often have, to withdraw a sum of cash. I'm not going to say how much it was. It was a sum of cash. It was some cash. We do this whenever she needs some cash. Maybe she has an expense, wants to use the cash, doesn't want to use the card, debit card, whatever, wants cash. She can have cash because she has a bank account with Bank of America in this case. We drive up to the drive-thru like we do because my mother, as I pointed out, she's my mother. She's older than I am by more than a couple of decades, obviously. So, go through the drive-thru. We tell the teller how much she wants. She presents her ID, her bank card, like she does, and asks for a withdrawal slip. Puts the amount she wants. Passes it back through. The teller responds not with, here's your cash, ma'am, but rather, oh, cue the cicadas. Thank you. Rather than present the cash, the teller presents a challenge in the form of what is commonly known as two-factor authentication. She tells us that she has sent a text message to the mobile number that they have on record, and that mom is to recite the code that's been sent. Simple enough, right? Well, the code doesn't come through. They don't have the right phone number on record. They don't have my phone number on their record. So, and I presented this question to the Facebook crowd before I even started this, and people chimed in and said, yes, that's two-factor authentication. It's to prevent fraud. Great, good for them. I'm familiar with the practice. I've had to engage in two, maybe three-factor authentication at my job. So I'm familiar with how it works. And when all the data is correct, it works fine because it's me, because I'm the one trying to gain access to the data, to my work data. Works fine. Other people trying to hack in can't get through because the system works, because the data is correct. However, in this case with Bank of America, data was not correct. They didn't have either one of our phone numbers correct. And so we couldn't just simply say, well, this is my phone number. Here's my phone. Look at the phone number. Text that. No, not good enough. That would be cheating. They're not going to give us the information because, and we're not going to get the money because we haven't passed the challenge. So we ask, well, what's the workaround for this? You've got bad data. We have two phones. Neither one of them is in your records for whatever reason. That sounds like a failure on the bank's part, and yet they're putting it on us. Throughout this, I got the vibe of, like maybe a sensation that I was behind the Iron Curtain, and that my papers were not in order. You know what I mean? My papers. So I asked the teller, well, how do we fix this? How do we satisfy this order? And she says, well, you have to come inside you have to come to the lobby. Okay, again, mom is up in her years. She's no longer driving. Wants to use the drive-through to minimize the amount of steps she has to take. And the challenge that is presented, the nature of it, requires her to now go get out of the vehicle, walk 100 feet across a parking lot, another 50 to 60 feet through the lobby to talk to a teller. Somehow that seems like cheating also, because they didn't check her signature, they didn't look at her, scrutinize her ID. I mean, they could have taken a good look at her through the window. Somebody also said, well, they can't really see her that clearly through the window to match her face to her ID. I don't buy that. Keep in mind, you're asking an elderly woman with a heart condition to leave the vehicle, take the trouble to traverse the parking lot, go into the building, go through this rigmarole. So while we were in there, I asked the teller, well, why don't we get this phone number thing sorted out? Well, you've got to talk to somebody in the office. You've got to talk to somebody in the office for that. So, you know, take a number, get in line, we'll call you. We've been through this before, and normally it doesn't take any time. We pull up to the drive-through, present the ID, ask for the withdrawal slip. It's done. We're off to grab breakfast. Not this time. So, and furthermore, because mom didn't really want to wait there to talk to somebody, she said, well, I'll just call the office Monday morning. I forgot to mention this was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. They were going to close at 1. We were probably there around 10 a.m. So mom didn't want to sit there in the bank. She had better things to do with her time. She doesn't want to spend all of her time with waiting for help from a banker to get information that they should have already had on file. She says that she's going to call Monday, sort it out. Come Monday, she gets on the phone, explains the encounter she had. The person helping her was baffled. This didn't sound like anything that they do. He was just, he didn't know how to respond. He just said, well, that doesn't sound like something we do. So, my question to Bank of America, rather than have me sit on hold for the amount of time that it takes to make this video and upload it, rather than me sit on hold with your people, with your CSR people, I'm putting this out, posting publicly, so that maybe you and others can see that this was a problem and that it was a major inconvenience, not just for me, but I happen to be hobbled as well. I was injured, I was severely injured in a motorcycle crash a few years ago, and walking is no longer my thing. It used to be. I wasn't much of a runner, but man, I wish I had been, because I can't do that anymore. So not only am I hobbled, I'm trying to help my mother, who walks with a cane, out of the vehicle. You see where this is going? Do you see, am I illustrating the problem here? My mother doesn't want to be on camera. You know, she doesn't like these confrontations, so I'm not going to drag her into this. But I'm thinking about next time. Next time she wants to make a withdrawal and they present this challenge, are we going to have the same thing happen? Are they going to have the wrong phone number on file? How do we get them the right phone number on file? Mom has a smartphone. It's an Android. I've got this thing. So that's what we have. I'm posing this question to Bank of America. Why was this challenge presented? And why was it presented to this elderly woman? You're trying to prevent fraud. Great. The accounts are insured. So we have that to fall back on. The teller could have made an executive decision and said, I've got a lady, it's elderly, she has a heart condition. They don't have no way of knowing that. I'm volunteering this information. elderly woman, heart condition, you're dragging her out of the vehicle unnecessarily because your data is incorrect. This two-factor authentication works great, but only when your data is correct and updated, which it wasn't. You didn't have my phone number, you didn't have her phone number. So the system fails, and your customer can't access their funds. Whose failure is that? Whose fault is that? Please take responsibility. Please reach out, explain how this happened and what is going to be done to prevent it from happening again. That's what I want to hear. That's what your customer wants to hear. My name is on the account as well. I'm the POD person, so you can discuss this with me, right? If not, call my mother. You've got a phone number for her on file, right? So to recap, Bank of America, get your data straight. Make sure if you're going to present a challenge to your elderly customers who are trying to come in and handle their withdrawal in the drive-thru, get it together. Have the right phone number on file. Have my phone number on file. Verify her ID through the window, through the drive-thru. Don't make her come in the building. Don't make her get her cane and walk across the parking lot. You come out to us. That would have worked even better. Do that next time. The operator she talked to had no idea how or why this challenge was presented. Is this two-factor authentication something that you've just rolled out haphazardly? Obviously, if you have, you've got problems. There's bugs in the system. Fix them. Fix them and inconvenience and challenge younger customers. Do it during the week. I don't know. I don't have the solution. I'm not in charge of your bank. If I were, I wouldn't have those people working there in the first place. Those tellers gave me the vibe of, like I said, of being behind the Iron Curtain, being challenged on the street to present my papers. My papers were not in order, and who knows what would have happened. I just got the whole vibe of like my junior high school librarian. That's the kind of vibe. Both these middle-aged women kind of had that, oh no, you can't go in the hallway. You don't have a hall pass. Your hall pass was for going to the library, not for leaving the library. That kind of thing. Yeah, sound familiar? I've heard it. That was Miss Graves. Miss Graves. Anyway, I was having flashbacks to junior high school and the librarian that wouldn't validate my hall pass and was going to make me late for class because it's a whole long story. Anyway, bottom line, Bank of America, 1100 North Valley Mills Drive, Waco, Texas, on a weekend, Saturday morning. I think it was last week. I think it would have been, what was that? Was that the 4th of June, perhaps? Maybe end of May, beginning of June, a Saturday. Let's fix this, okay? Fix it. And to all my friends who have similar experiences, feel free to share them. Maybe we'll talk about them. Maybe I'll make more of these videos more often. Maybe I'll talk about happier stuff and not just all these inconveniences in life, but they are stacking up. There is a lot of content to be shared. I just have to get my script together. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you have a better day. I hope everybody has a much better week. Things cool off for everybody in the South. All 70 million of us who are suffering through this heat wave, through this, under this heat dome. And I hope we have much cooler days, a much cooler summer in store for all of us. Thanks, and until then, you got to transcend the bullshit.